I'm currently standing on what might be considered the most dangerous road in Britain. I know it looks like a tidal flat, and that's because it is, but it's also a public byway known as the Broomway. For decades, the path was marked by 400 bundles of straw and grass, similar to that of a broomhead, planted every 30 to 60 yards, which is where the name derives from. Being a public byway, that means that anybody can walk, bike, ride a horse, or drive a vehicle along this road, which I assure you exists. The only real destination on this road is Foulness Island, which is owned by the Ministry of Defense and which you're banned from entering unless you have prior permission or are a member of the military here. Those individuals, as well as a small number of civilian residents, have a bridge available to them to access the island though, so they don't need to traverse the Broomway to get onto the island. But you and I probably don't have that ability since the bridge is guarded to prevent unofficial access. Additionally, since the 1880s, the Broomway runs directly through an artillery firing range, which means that buried in the mud all around me is both exploded and unexploded ordnance. That's not even what makes it dangerous, oddly enough. So that leaves a couple of questions, such as, why is this a public byway, and why would anyone use it? As to why it's a public byway, that's because for the 600 or so years prior to 1932, the only way to get on or off the island at low tide was through the mudflats. Residents and visitors would have to avoid sinking mud, literal quicksand, and the most dangerous thing, the tides. And that's on a nice sunny day. If there were any sort of weather, like rain or mist or fog, you would quickly lose sight of land and wander further away. And wandering further away means out into the North Sea. With a tide that can rise faster than you can run, that quickly becomes a dire situation. Even if you know where you're going, following the hard-packed mud, a slight deviation could mean you end up stuck up to your waist in quicksand, and again, a fast-moving tide could quickly swallow you up. Even on clear days, there are visual misperceptions that could lead you in the wrong direction. Debris, phantom hills, mirages, and a mirror effect from standing water can all mess with your direction and depth perception. Modern times means that artificial lights and landmarks of Kent out in the distance could add to the confusion. A map is borderline pointless, and without modern-day GPS, or at least a compass, you are essentially dead reckoning, using local knowledge or experience. Many of those killed include visiting doctors and the girlfriends of farmers on the island, unfamiliar with the risks. And there are several stories of those farmers becoming victims themselves when they enjoyed a few too many drinks on the mainland and attempted to race the tide home, often at night. That combined with a confidence from experience resulted in a recipe for disaster. So it's not incomprehensible that over 100 people have gone missing out here on the Broomway in its 600-year history dating back to the 1400s. 66 people are buried in Foulness Island Cemetery at the Little Foulness Churchyard, almost all drowned from the quickly rising tide. No wonder its unofficial name is the Doomway. Risk still exists even afloat, as some boats have run aground when attempting to navigate into the estuary that separates Foulness from the mainland, stranding people who have attempted to walk back to shore, finding themselves sinking in mud or lost. And it's also no wonder a bridge was built to end the Broomway usage. But it didn't quite end it. Still listed as a public byway for the last 90 years, there are no restrictions to traffic so long as the Ministry of Defense isn't operating the area as a firing range, which is usually only on weekdays. So on weekends, people venture out for the mile-and-a-half trek to Foulness. And as soon as they get there, they pretty much have to reverse their steps completely because they aren't actually allowed onto the island and are now trying to make sure they beat the tide home. You can't just follow the coast because it drives you into what's known as the mud of the black. Even if you could get through that, the water becomes too deep to cross. The only way back is the Broomway. So why risk it? Well, the only reason is because you can. It's odd, eerie, a bit adventurous, and has a history to it. On a clear day with modern GPS, correct tidal charts, and a route study, it's still risky, but not nearly as much as before. Some local residents have taken advantage of this, offering guided tours across the mud, passing abandoned fishing boats, old artillery shells, and taking you to and from Foulness. Starting 3 hours after high tide, they do the round trip before low tide turns, and the tide starts coming back in. Anything after that, and it becomes unnecessarily risky. The signs here at Wakering Stairs, as well as at the Maplin Sands on Foulness, all describe the reality that yes, it's available for public use, but also that it can become extremely dangerous extremely quickly, and that venturing out is at your own discretion. Also, don't touch the bombs, which probably sounds like common sense to you and me, but it's not always the case. All of these things combined give the Broomway the unofficial title of most dangerous road in Britain. Check out another video here. You can also check out the map that has every location I've been to with links to the videos as well in the description below. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my Patreon subscribers for helping me get here. And as always, until next time, get lost.